Welcome to Teen ypww Lesson 1. I do not own the rights to this music. Today's topic is the prophecies of Christ's birth. The lesson text is coming out of Isaiah chapter 7, verses 14 through 16, Isaiah chapter 9, verses 6 through 7. The memory verse is Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14. I will read the King James Version first and then the New International Version. Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. The New International Version. Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and will call him Emmanuel. The key for today's lesson. The plan of God revealed. The focus for today's lesson. God reveals his plans for our lives in various ways. The Christmas season is known as the most wonderful time of the year. Many countries around the world have celebrations of some magnitude during this season. For Christians, the value of our celebrating goes far beyond clever marketing and commercial gains made by the retail industry. Whether we have or don't have a Christmas tree, the real meaning of the holiday is our greatest joy. Therefore, teen listeners and readers, don't be disappointed if you do not get everything you want on your Christmas wish list this year. Don't allow commercialism to distort your view of the celebration of the miraculous birth of our Savior, Jesus Christ. In this lesson, we will review several of the prophecies of the birth of Jesus Christ that were proclaimed in the Old Testament. God had a plan of redemption for mankind through the gift of his Son. He was careful to advise his people of this plan long before the birth of Jesus Christ. These prophecies were God's promise of redemption, beaconing lights of hope that reminded them that a new covenant was on the way. These prophecies stand today as reminders of the faithfulness of God to bring his prophetic promises to pass. There are over 30 prophecies of the birth of Jesus Christ in the Old Testament. For our lesson today, we will discuss 3 of these prophecies. These 3 prophecies are miracles. The masterful planning of Jesus being born in the lineage of David was phenomenal. Old Testament prophecy versus New Testament fulfillment. Number 1. He shall be born a king in the line of David, and that's Isaiah chapter 9, verse 7. That's the prophecy. The fulfillment is Matthew chapter 1, verse 1. Number 2, he shall be born of a virgin, is the prophecy found in Isaiah chapter 7, verse 4. The New Testament fulfillment is Matthew 1, verses 18 through 23. Number 3, kings shall bring him gifts and worship him. That's the prophecy in Psalm 72, verses 10 through 11. And the fulfillment is Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 through 11. Our memory verse is the announcement of the virgin birth of Jesus Christ. This birth canceled out the possibility of Jesus having an earthly father. He could not be the son of Joseph and God at the same time. The virgin birth was also a picture of our role in salvation, acceptance. Mary's role was one of submission and obedience. She accepted God's gift. Ephesians 2 verses 8 through 9 says that the work of salvation is done by God alone. The gifts from the wise men were a significant testimony to the world that a king had been born. Led by God, these wise men were a financial blessing to Mary and Joseph as they presented their gifts to the newborn king. This fulfilled prophecy reminds us that wherever God guides, he will provide. Just as God had a plan and a promise of salvation for his people before the birth of Christ, he has a plan for your life as well. God will reveal his plan for your life in various ways as you walk in the way of righteousness. God is a wonderful, masterful planner, as we learned in today's lesson. His plans are always better than our own. In the book, there is a chart of the lineage of the birth of Jesus Christ as referred to in the lesson. This list divides the genealogy into 3 groups of 14 generations, separated by important history or historic points. Matthew 1 verse 17. Abraham to king, David's reign. Matthew 1 verses 2 through 6. David's kingdom to the Babylonian captivity. Matthew chapter 1 verses 6 through 11. And release from captivity to Christ, and that's Matthew 1 verses 12 through 16. Can you identify any of the men on this list from your previous Bible studies? The list shows that Abraham to David, David to captivity, and release to Christ. So the first column says Abraham to David. From top to bottom shows Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Judah, Perez, Hezron, Ram, Aminadab, Nahshon, Salmon, Boaz, Obed, Jesse, and David. The next column says David to captivity. David, Solomon, Rehoboam, Abijah, Asa, Jehoshaphat, Joram, Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, Hezekiah, Manasseh, Amon, Josiah. The third column says release to Christ. From top to bottom says Jeconiah, Shealtiel, Zerubbabel, Abiad, Eliakim, Azor, Zadok, Achim, Eliad, Eliezer, Mathan, Jacob, Joseph, Jesus Christ. This lesson reviews 3 other prophetic declarations of the birth of Jesus Christ in the Old Testament. Students will gain insight on the provisionary attributes of God, who kept his promise by providing a Savior for his people. God announces this plan of salvation to his people hundreds of years before the Savior was born. Students will learn the significance of the prophesied birth of Jesus Christ. Students will be reminded that God has a plan for their lives as well. It is their responsibility to seek God to discover his will for their lives. The questions for today's lesson. Number 1, the actual event of the birth of Jesus Christ is recorded in the New Testament. Why is it important for us to know and understand the prophetic announcements of the birth of Jesus Christ in the Old Testament? Number 2, God reveals his plans to his prophets so that their ministries may be respected and effective. What are some other reasons that the prophecies of God's prophets are fulfilled? And number 3, this chart shows why Jesus is occasionally called the Son of David. Discuss that. The end. God bless you and thank you for joining me today.